Hey everyone, Nathan from Arms and Armor here. The other day, Matt Easton made this video in which he asked whether cutting wood with a sword is sword abuse. As you can see from the video at the beginning of this, I cut this piece of ash with an Arms and Armor longsword. The sword's fine, it cut through the wood. There's no damage done. The question I think we ought to be asking is, what can chopping wood with a sword teach us, right? What does this test tell us? So in this video, I use an Arms and Armor sword to cut a piece of pine, a piece of ash, and a piece of hickory, and then to think a little bit about what cutting wood teaches us and doesn't. So for these videos, I'm using my own personal sword. It's just a custom sword from Arms and Armor. It's based on our Durer sword. It's got the same blade. It looks a little different. It's just one of our standard customs, mostly because all the swords in the shop right now have already been bought by people, and I don't want to scar up their blades before sending them to them. So first off, I've got a 2x6 piece of fir, right? Regular pine board. Let's give it a shot, see what happens. Safety third. Right, so I chopped off this part from the side. Sword's fine, of course. Chop. There, you can split it. Sword gets stuck. Sword is fine. Right, so you can chop pine with a sword. Now, of course, chopping a piece of pine doesn't hurt your sword, particularly if you do it a lot. You're gonna need maintenance on your sword. That's a high impact activity, but look, the edge is fine. It's not gonna hurt the edge of the sword. Pine is pretty soft, right? We don't expect a sword to self-destruct if it encounters a piece of soft wood. Right? So is that testing anything? Not really. I guess it's testing if your sword is an utter piece of garbage or not, but that's about it. So now I've got a piece of 2x6 ash, hardwood that we make our handles out of. This is a much harder wood. I wouldn't recommend chopping hardwood a whole bunch. It's gonna put a lot more stress on your sword. And you're gonna need more maintenance if you do that. It's a better simulation, probably, of some aspects of actual battle. And actual battle was something that put a great deal of stress on your weapons, as you can see from all of the period illustrations and paintings where the field is strewn with broken weapons. Right? So let's give this a shot. Well, stuck in there. It's able to cut it just fine. Yes, of course, the edge of the sword is just fine. It's a little dirty. Let's take a look. Now I have a hickory axe handle from one of our Nordland axes. Hickory is harder wood than most modern ash. Although it's an American wood, it's not something that was widely used in medieval weapons at all. But it's got a nice straight grain, it's pretty hard, and it is actually the haft of an axe. So let's see. Ta-da. So you can see here that this sliced in about an inch, and then the handle broke. The sword is perfectly fine. After cutting that axe handle in half, the blade is perfectly fine. There's no rolled edge, anything like that. Steel's way harder than hickory. No sets, right? Stayed nice and straight. Now, I have a piece of ipe wood. Right? So ipe is one of the hardest of the tropical hardwoods. Right? So if you say, can it cut wood? I guess this is a test, but what's it a test of? Nothing. No one ever made pole arms out of ipe wood, right? It's useless, but it is the kind of dumbassery that people get up to on occasion, so I'm gonna see how this goes. That cut, I don't really want to wang that super hard, but yeah, it's fine. The edge is fine. It cut the Ipe wood. Can you cut wood with swords? Sure. Does it teach you anything? No, not really. Maybe cutting the polearm haft teaches us something about fighting against people who have polearms, but you know, a good sword should work like a good sword. Now, that doesn't mean you should go and chop a whole bunch of wood, because even good swords need maintenance when they're put through hard use. And if you use it a bunch, it's gonna need a bunch of maintenance. And you probably don't want to be sending your sword back to your historical cutler all the time. Now, back in the day, in the medieval period during the Renaissance, there were lots of cutlers, lots more than today, who could repair minor or significant damage to swords. And it's one of the difficulties we have today, is that there are few competent professionals out there who can do the kind of maintenance that's required on swords that are actually in use. Thanks.